And we are on the air. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the show that insists that crushed Viking should be served by tractor trailer. This is the Sports Box, where the only opinion matters. It's right here. I am Mike Aletta, a.k.a. Hamilton Mike, along with my smiling partner, Brian, the Ranger Retard. Brian, how are you today?
I want to know where in the budget for the show you're getting a tractor trailer of crushed Vicodin, because my checks are light. So.
Oh my God, crushed Vicodin is so nice right now. Anyway, today we are back talking about our 32 NFL team preview show. Today we are heading out to the far west to talk to that team. Yes, the San Francisco 49ers that had some success in the past, but oh, how the mighty have fallen. But let's talk to the man anyway. In the Bay Area, our buddy, Andy Fedo. Andy, what's up, pal?
Hi, it's Mike, Brian the Ranger. What's happening?
Not much. We love talking to Andy, don't we?
I mean, we're talking about football, yes. Hockey, not so much.
I got to be an investigative reporter to track his ass down. But anyway, let's get to it. Brian, stab me. San Francisco 49ers.
San Francisco 49ers, they won 2 games last year, both against the Rams.
Nice.
Finished 2-14. Obviously, that's not going to make the playoffs.
They played them all year to be undefeated.
How about that, right?
Unbelievable.
Their passing offense was 32nd ranked in the NFL. And as I always tell those Harvard math majors, there's only 32 teams.
That's exactly it.
Surprisingly, though, Mike, 4th best rushing attack in the league, but not enough to save them. They finished 31st overall in offense in the NFL. Colin Kaepernick led the team in the passing with over 2,200 yards, 16 touchdowns, 2 more rushing in the 12 games he played. As everybody knows, he's not there anymore. We're not going to talk about him.
Still got a big Frodo.
Carlos Hyde, almost 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, missed some time as well. Yep. Jeremy Kerley was the surprise leader in receiving, 667 yards and 3 touchdowns. Defensively, they were 14th against the pass, probably because people stopped passing against them when they were beating them.
Probably, yeah.
And 32nd against the run.
Yeah.
They were 32nd in total defense, 32nd in points allowed. When you see a lot of 32s in the ranks, it's not good.
And basically, you don't have to be a math major to know that with those stats, you basically suck, so you don't have to do anything really.
Well, what I would say is, they... With 2 first-round picks, they really addressed their defense in a big way. We're going to talk about that.
We love John Lynch.
Solomon Thomas, defensive tackle out of Stanford, 3rd overall, and Reuben Foster, linebacker who fell in this draft a lot.
Yep.
They got out of Alabama 31st.
All field issues.
Andy, I want to start there. Those who watch the Sports Box know that Mike has been extremely critical of the leadership for the Chicago Bears for trading 2 3s and a 4 to move up 1 spot in the draft to get a quarterback that we all kind of thought was probably a 10th overall pick.
Biggest snow job of the year.
How excited were you to get the guy you were going to get anyway and get a couple picks for your trouble?
And be censored, Andy. We're a family show here, so.
Well, I'm really excited. I mean, Reuben Foster dropping down to, which basically just about the 2nd round, the 31st pick in the 1st round. I mean, he has been, so far at camp, been doing everything that they expected him to do. He's been a little bit tweaked on an ankle, but he's been practicing, and they said he's playing right next to Bowman. Needless to say, since Patrick Willis retired, this looks like the best linebacking core we've had in a couple of years back when they were competitors. And Solomon, Solomon Thomas, he looks like he's going to be all they cracked up to be too. So I'm really excited. I think that's where they even though when they were kind of bad, and they still did decent against the run, like you said, until the team started really getting ahead of them. Then you're kind of handcuffing them, not really giving them much of a choice. But I think that we can't go much further down, so it's got to go up from where we were last year.
Talking about the offense, the 49ers did struggle last year. That's to no surprise of anybody. And I'll get back to the quarterbacks in a second. But you talk about this wide receiving core with Pierre Garçon, brought in from Washington. Brian did bring up Jeremy Kerley. You got Marcus Goodwin coming over from Buffalo. But the big talk in camp is George Kittle out of Iowa. This tight end supposedly looks like Antonio Gates. He's got big hands, pro-style offense in Iowa. Have you heard anything out there in the San Francisco area about this kid?
Well, they don't call you Hamilton Mike for nothing. That's exactly the little golden nugget I have in my sleeve. Watch out for this guy.
See, we're on top of Andy.
He's fast. He's got a very good football presence. He's hooking up with Hoyer very well. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets more targets than any of those receivers that you named. I believe Vance McDonald's going to be on the chopping block. If he isn't already, he's going to be out very shortly. And a guy Sully backing up Kittle. It looks like how the depth chart's going to pan out at tight end. And I expect Hoyer to go down to his backup running backs and his tight ends a lot more, trying to get a rhythm. And of course, as Brian mentioned, the Carlos Hyde's going to be the focal point. I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks another 1,000. We got to try to keep him healthy, protect him. Drafting Joe Williams will probably help doing that. Hopefully keep his longevity, keep his touches and carries down a little bit so he can keep him in the 16, games all year.
So you talk about offense with the 49ers, and maybe nobody wants to admit it out there, but this team is in rebuilding mode. You can see that by John Lynch's draft, and I think they're on their way. With the offensive line, they might have to interchange a little bit more, but Andy, you look at the quarterback situation out there, and it's got to be a concern out there. You're looking at Brian Hoyer starting the season, Matt Barkley backing him up, and possibly C.J. Beathard as their third quarterback. Is there any rumblings out there that this team needs a quarterback desperately?
They do, and even worse so, it looks like just about everybody started. There's rumors of Kirk Cousins coming over before Washington franchised him. And that might be a possibility after this year. So, I believe that might be what we're moving forward. You heard it here first on the Sports Box that, he might be back with Shanahan in San Francisco. I have a good feeling that John Lynch could possibly make that happen. Or I think he ran out a little bit of time to get this solidified quarterback situation. Give a shot at Brian Hoyer. He's got some NFL experience. He's started games before. So, we'll see how it goes with him. I think he just has to manage the game, give the ball to Hyde, and not make mistakes and protect the football. And we've got a chance to win a few more games this year.
So before we start talking about the defense here, Andy, I think the big storyline thinking about where we were a year ago was the Chip Kelly experiment. And you know what? That's already over. It's their third head coach in 3 years, but this one might be there a while. Kyle Shanahan, former offensive coordinator for Houston, Washington, Cleveland, Atlanta. He's been around the block, his first head coaching gig. How excited are you to have Chip Kelly no longer be running your team?
Well, it's exciting because, it's more of a circus. And, not to bring up, we got to go back to the quarterback situation in Kaepernick and that whole circus, too. I like, these guys are good, solid football guys. They've been around the NFL as players, as coaches, all over the place. Now, Shanahan, head coach, and John Lynch looks like a great recipe to move up in the world of the standings and everything. So, again, moving forward, I think that, they're putting some of the pieces in place. Like you said, excellent draft. John Lynch was very active on draft day, so I expect the same from him after the season. But, like I said, I think they're going to be able to at least get some good tradition and get some good momentum going into this season.
Lynch is a great defensive mind, but, this is a team that, again, as I mentioned in the open, they ranked 32nd in a lot of issues. Defensively. They spent 6 first-round picks since 2013 on their defense. They just used 2 in 2017. It looks like that's really where they're going to put a lot of their resources. Does that surprise you at all?
Not at all. You can't play defense. You can't even play in the NFL if you don't have a pass rush. And I think that's what they focused on, the defense side of the ball. I think the front seven has usually been solid, but the secondary back and up is, been a little bit shaky and not working together as a unit. So I think those are focuses. Again, John Lynch being the safety he was when he played in the NFL, I'm sure he's got the right coaching staff and trying to make his moves to, address that situation. And again, obviously, as you said, the pass rush, first round, second rounds go into defensive line, defensive tackle. So I think they're addressing the right situations first. It's a good start to rebuilding a team, and that's obviously if you can't win the battle up front, you can't win games.
Did he play with the Bucs? Oh, he did. Yeah, that's right. So on special teams, Andy, we bring it up. They got veteran kicker Robbie Gould in there. I don't know how much that's going to help, but kickers are dime a dozen. My question is, the kick return.
Kickers are a dime a dozen.
Dime a dozen. You heard it here first.
Wow.
Not me though. So punt returners, you talk about Jeremy Kerley back there, and I brought this up to Brian a couple times. That do you really want one of your especially most productive wide receivers last year back there running punts when that's a dangerous position? Somebody can get their head taken off.
Yeah, it's not a good. I wouldn't be surprised if they get somebody else. Quentin Patton on the IR does definitely hurt right off the bat, right before we even start the season. So I don't know if they're going to plan on keeping him back there all year or if they have other options. But it does help that he's got some experience as well. So hopefully, again, that's just another spot where you just can't make mistakes. Not fumble the football, not turn the ball over. win the turnover battle on special teams and give your defense a chance.
Yeah, your only other option is the rookie Trent Taylor that they brought in from Louisiana Tech, who's a speedster, but I don't know if I feel comfortable with a rookie back there running the kicks back.
Before we get to the schedule, and I know that Mike always loves to talk about the schedule.
Love it.
The Niners were active in free agency to the point where, they got who they could get, and they had to overpay a guy like Pierre Garçon to come there. He signed a $47.5 million deal with the 49ers. I mean, yes, it is expensive to bring players into a situation where you're probably not going to win a lot of games. But from your vantage point, did you like that? Did you think it made sense? Is it really that? I mean, what was your take on them basically opening the purse strings to get a guy like Garçon when they're really not anywhere close to contention?
Well, consider your options, and like you said, I think you hit the nail right on the head. You kind of almost got to overpay a guy that or doesn't really have the fact that they want to win or win a championship first at mind. He's been around, and quite honestly, like I said, pulling him from Washington, I wouldn't be surprised if Kirk Cousins. That's one of the plays to try to get Cousins to come back and reunite with him next year. That's just me thinking out loud too. Mm-hmm. But it's better than the options we had. He's a bona fide number one. For the 49ers, you might not be able to say that on a different team in the NFL. But, as far as what our options go, he's at least a reliable target. He knows how to run a route. Again, he's got starts. He's been there before. So hopefully he can, be at least get 100 targets from us this year and catch some balls and be reliable.
And I think the interesting part of that is, again, remember, Brian Hoyer, Kyle Shanahan, I mean, they made DeAndre Hopkins in Houston a target monster. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see Garçon take on the Hopkins role in this offense, especially for a team that's probably going to be down a lot and has to throw to get back in the game.
Yeah, but he's also more a possession receiver now, I think, more in his career. So
sure.
His downfield threat.
But they're going to feed him the ball, I think, a lot. Yeah,
I think he brings a veteran leadership to this team that's young, and like Andy said, it's gonna give a guy you confident throwing a ball to. Mm-hmm. If you need to throw it out to him, you can. So.
PPR leagues, look at Garçon, round 6.
Mm-hmm. So Andy,
absolutely, somebody's got to catch the ball.
Absolutely.
So Andy. Break your chops because we don't do that here at the Sports Box. But, on the schedule, I like to look at what's called Murderer's Row, where there's a stretch of games where a team's going to struggle. Maybe they have a long road trip, whatever the case may be. Looking at the 49ers, every game might be a train wreck for them. But you look at a stretch in this where I think they might have a little bit of trouble, and I think it starts at week 4. Where they go to Arizona, they go to Indianapolis, and they go to Washington. They might not seem good teams, but 3 weeks of travel for any team is rough, and coming across country is, going to Arizona fine, but then you go to Indy, then you go to Washington back to back. I think that could be a little stretch. We also talk about they're home for Arizona, they're home for the Giants, then they're home for Seattle. It's home cooking, but they got 3 solid teams there.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole schedule is I mean, it can go either way. So there's a lot of teams in there that need to prove themselves as well. And, the roster changes. You never know how this group of guys is going to gel. I think they had a great strategy on, cleaning house, getting rid of a lot of the poisons and a lot of the old guys who've been there for a couple of years and bringing in a new team and trying to get a new team to gel. And quite honestly, I think it's going to work. They win those games, those tough games. I think they're going to be competitive. I think they're going to be a lot more competitive than they were last year and the year before. And like you said, the defense building up, I think that's going to be a good solid start to get going. And
they did not do that many favors with the schedule.
Well, I mean, when you lose 13 games in a row, I think it's hard to find an easy stretch in the schedule at that point. I mean, you got the right expectations coming in.
But they're off to Houston. They play Tennessee this year. They're home against Carolina, tough team. Their division doesn't give them any breaks. I mean, they got
the Rams twice. You want to put 2 wins on the schedule?
Let's go into December. We could beat Chicago, we could beat Houston, they could beat Tennessee, Jacksonville, and the Rams. So I mean,
I think you're really stretching it out here, man. He won 2 games last year.
I'm going to flip that back on you. So but let's humor you and say that you're right that they have winnable games in the schedule.
Okay.
Do you even want them to win these games? Because again, they're in a spot right now where the biggest position on the team has yet to be filled. Whether it's going to be Kirk Cousins or whether they're going to draft one of these quarterbacks out of the draft next year, they're probably going to put themselves in a better position if they have a higher draft pick. So I don't advocate tanking in the NFL, and please don't take it that I am. But from a fan standpoint, do you actually want them to win these games, or do you feel as though the true value out of this 2017 Niners season is to lose as many damn games as possible, pick as high as you freaking can, and get the... And even if they bring in Kirk Cousins, Andy, you still have value in those picks. You look at what those picks have been worth to teams that need quarterbacks. You know, you see what the Eagles had to pay up to go get Carson Wentz, what the Rams paid to go get Jared Goff, even, again, what the Bears paid to move up to one spot for Mitch Trubisky. Is winning really in this team's best interest?
Well, I'll let you know December 3rd. We'll see how many wins and losses we got come December 3rd. That could be a good stretch, or like you said, there might be a stretch where we ain't playing for anything other than draft order.
Right.
So, another side note, just looking down, we picked up Elvis Dumerville. He stays healthy. He might be an impact. We got a lot of guys up front that can cause trouble. And at that point, I couldn't disagree, because every spot in the draft is important, as the Bears made us see this year.
Yeah.
Maybe more important in their eyes than it is in ours. So depending on what situation is, I think that if we're at a playoff contention at that point with 5 weeks left in the season, then you almost want to see, you start looking at the college guys to see who's coming out of the draft next.
Right.
But it might surprise people. Like I said, hopefully with the new roster, a lot of new guys, they make some nice chemistry.
I'm sure San Francisco has their eye on Sam Darnold out of USC. Darnold is going to be a stud quarterback this year. But in the same sense, me and Brian are on different pages with this about the draft, about why keep dumping every single solitary year? Because those first and second round picks that you draft aren't really, I wouldn't say no-brainers, but they're usually stick picks. An organization is going to get better, and we've had this conversation with Mike Henshaw from the Browns, is you got to make your picks stick from 5 on. From 5, 6, 7 rounds. Those are the guys that got to stay for you, because even though they're down the line picks, they're guys that people pass on because they don't know much about them. And those are the guys that you got to pick on your roster that got to make the team. You can't keep cutting 6th and 7th round picks every year. It does no good for draft people to do that. And that's why I think with John Lynch there, he's going to turn his team around, because over a couple years, he's going to keep those picks, because he's going to take the time to make solid picks in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. That guys are going to stick. And that's what's going to turn San Francisco around. Not tanking every year, because that does nothing for you. Nothing. So.
Yeah, sure. You're right, Mike. And if you look back in the past, the guys that are developed into all Pro Bowlers are the ones that are drafted and developed within the coaching and within the organization. Yep. I'd have to agree with you 100% with that.
And this might be a far-fetched example, but we talk about Tom Brady, 6th round pick. Even though he turned out to be a great pick. But
my mindset to this is the picks have a value. I don't care if you use them or not. You can trade down, you can trade up, you can do whatever you want to.
Right.
It's like they're a currency.
Right.
So whether you decide to go sign Kirk Cousins and trade the number 1 pick to some other quarterback needy team and just absolutely destroy them and get 3 first-round picks in the future, you're still better off.
Well, yeah, but how many times does that happen? But you also got to look
every other year, it seems like.
And Andy, you can probably agree with this too. If you, like Brian said, move your picks around, and say you end up with maybe 2 fourths and 3 fifths or whatever, and then in 4 years you only have one of those 5 guys that you drafted, that sets your team back, I think, more than anything.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, like you said, stockpiling those draft picks in this stage of the game could really, really, really get us ahead of the game.
Yep.
But like you said, if you end up cutting them and it's just a routine to waste those picks and end up being nothing, then really, what did you trade? What did you end up getting at the end of the day? But I think, like you said, the first of those 2 options are probably more likely to happen under John Lynch's watch.
And I'll give you another example. In the Raiders, finally, the Crypt Keeper died, Al Davis, and they finally start getting better because they drafted Mack in the 4th round. Look at Mack. He's a stud.
The Crypt Keeper.
That's right. And I said the Raiders were going to get better when he died, but we love you, Ron Dorsey. So yeah. So,
me too, Ronnie.
Okay, we got fans. So let's go over the schedule again. So we'll put you on the spot, as like we do everybody. What do you think your boys are going to do record-wise this year for the San Francisco 49ers? By the way, we are talking to Andy Fedo, our San Francisco affiliate for the Sports Box. Andy, I'm sorry.
Before that, just one quick correction for you, sir.
Yes.
Khalil Mack was the 5th overall pick in 2014.
You had to look it up, didn't you?
I did.
You son of a... All right. Anyway, Andy, let's talk about your schedule pick. What do you think for your record-wise?
Well, it's a brutal year again this year, but I'm going to go, let's say we win 5 this year. I think we can definitely split with the Rams. You could probably definitely split with the Cardinals, and maybe steal a Chicago and maybe a Tennessee in there. and Dallas Cowboys, of course.
I think if they double their wins, they might have a parade for them. What do you think?
I think Andy personally,
yeah,
probably as we're looking at that Week 8 game as when he really wants.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, we want that too.
Sure, but when they visit Philadelphia, I think that's the win that Andy, like if they went 1-15 but won that game, he probably would be.
He would probably be really happy. Yeah, I could see that.
He'd be fine with that.
Yeah, that's okay. We won't hold it. We won't hold it against Andy. Well, we will, but.
The last time I wore red into Eagle Stadium, it was the Link, and it was Jeff Garcia and Terrell Owens after he got traded from the Eagles. Right after he left the Niners to the Eagles.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah. The other days. So. Well, that's all the time we have for our San Francisco 49ers preview. We want to thank our San Francisco affiliate out of the Bay Area, Andy Fedo, for jumping on again. Andy, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Always good talking to you.
And it's so hard to get a hold of you. I mean, it's so easy to get a hold of you, Andy, so we will get you back on if something happens in San Francisco.
Always so hostile with guests. I don't know why.
Never. I'm never hostile with guests. They love coming on the show. They beat our door down to get on this damn show. And they should. Anyway, thank you very much. Remember, you can always get us on social media if you need to.
Absolutely. This is one of 32 NFL previews we're doing for you to get you ready for this season. If you haven't seen your team, you probably just missed it. So subscribe to the Sports Box. Make sure you're getting all of our fresh content. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well, at Sports Box Show. We appreciate it.
Man, if you haven't subscribed by now, what the hell are you waiting for? You got to get on the train because we are moving along with fresh content. Remember, at Sports Box, the only opinion that matters.
Oh, it's right here.
Oh, my God, it's right here. Thank you very much for watching. See you.
This episode of the Sports Box is brought to you by Mic'd Up Entertainment and DJ Mike Velarde. For all of your event planning needs, make sure you contact Mike at 609-864-5925 and tell him that you saw him on the Sports Box.
1, 2, 3.
Don't forget to subscribe.